connected to two layer 3 routers providing the VRRPE connectivity. Those two routers are connected through a core subnet routing to the 172.16.10.0 subnet to an internet router. We have client PC3 on the left connected to that internet router on a 144.49.10.0 network that's representing the internet or an external network. Most of the work we'll be performing will be on the R3 Router A and the R4 Router B devices, as they are going to be the ones configured to do VRRPE operations. Please note that all IPs and routing are already configured in this network. I'll be demonstrating the configuration of VRRPE and some of the behaviors of VRRPE in this environment. We'll start the VRRPE configuration on Router B. To enable VRRP, first we need to globally enable it using the Router VRRP extended command. Once VRRP is enabled globally, we'll go into interfaces and configure VRRPE values for those interfaces. For our demonstration, on Router B, we're going to use interface 3. And first we'll set up the VRRPE by defining a VRID for this interface. Notice the change in configuration context on the CLI. We're in VRED 1 on interface 3, and we're all set to start configuring parameters for VRRPE. So first thing we want to configure is our backup priority. The backup priority is what defines whether a router or router interface is going to be the master of the VRRPE virtual address. So we're setting that to 100 on this device with a track priority of 9. Track priorities, we'll talk a little bit about those as we go through the lab demonstration, but track priorities are used to change the priority if a tracked interface goes down on a router. Now we'll set the virtual IP address for this interface. That's with the IP-address command. And the virtual IP that we're going to use to represent the virtual router on this network is 10.10.200.1. Then we'll define our track port, and that port is the port that's related to the track priority. If the port that is configured as the track port goes down, our priority will drop. So we're going to be monitoring 114. If that interface goes down, it's going to adjust the priority of this particular interface for VRRP. Now the last step to VRRP configuration, or to make this operational, is the activate command. So we get a message letting us know that VRRP router 1, so that's the VRID ID we gave it, for this interface is activating right now. So let's take a look at what things look like from a VRRPE perspective on this router now. So what we see here is the VRID is 1. We've configured that already. This device is the master. It is enabled. We have a priority that's configured and a priority that's active right now, and that's 100 because our track interface is up. We show our configured track priority. We didn't manipulate any of these hello intervals, so these are all the default values for these. And everything else here is the default values except for the virtual IP address, which is the one we've configured, 10.10.200.1, and a virtual MAC address that's automatically generated by the system. Here's information for our track port that shows port 114 is up and operational. Now let's go configure VRRPE on router A. So again, we'll start with the router VRRPE extended command. We can shorthand that a little bit to save us some time and save us some typing. So we've globally enabled VRRPE, and on this router, the interface that's going to be running VRRPE is 115. So I'll do IP VRRP-E VRID is 1 as well. Okay, so we're in the right configuration context for VRRPE. Now we'll configure our backup priority, and that's going to be 110 on this device. And our track priority is also 9, just like the last one. Okay, our IP address, that's the virtual IP address again. That's going to be the same, 10.10.200.1. And our track port is going to be Ethernet 1111. And again, to kick this off and make this active, we have to run the activate command. Okay, we have activated VRRPE on this router, so let's take a look at how VRRPE looks now that we have two routers participating in VRRPE. From this output, we can see that router A is now the master. Its priority is 110, which is why it's the master. Higher priority dictates which one's the master, and on router B, we configure the priority at 100. All of these timers are again at defaults. We again see our virtual IP address, and we see that our track port of 1111 is up. So let's jump back over to router B and take a look at what it looks like over there. Okay, so over here, router B is now the backup. It's still enabled and a backup. The priority is 100, and everything looks fine. So it is seeing the master router. Master router's IP address is the 10.10.200.11 address, which is router A's IP address on this interface, and track port is still up. So this master router has an expiry timer. If it expires, this router will take over as master for VRRPE. So that's the method it uses as the backup to take over the role of master if the master were to go down. Okay, well now let's examine some VRRPE failure scenarios. To do this, we'll be using that PC1, that's the client PC. And just some of the things we'll be doing is we'll be running pings from that client PC out to the internet PC on the other side of the diagram. So let's go ahead and jump over in that PC. I have a connection to that PC right here, and basically I'm just going to run a ping to the PC out on the internet, which is out at 144.49.10.100. Okay, so we have good connectivity to that PC. We're successfully able to reach it. We're doing that through starting on the 10.10.200 network over the 172.16 network out to that 144.49.10.0 network. So we have full connectivity, IP connectivity through the network using our default gateway of that virtual router interface of 10.10.200.1. Okay, so let's break some things in our VRPE environment and see what that does for us. So over here on R5 core switch, we're going to disable interface 1/1/11. This is the interface that connects to router A, and it's the track port on router A. So basically when this port goes down, that track priority value we set is going to affect the overall priority of that router and hopefully change the way the VRP network operates, because there's no longer an outbound interface that router A can provide out to the internet for that client on the client side. So when that 1/1/11 link goes down, its upstream path goes down as well. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And we'll just disable that interface. And let's see what our ping looks like. We'll just add a -T to let this run continuously. So it looks like now we no longer have connectivity out to the internet through router A or router B. So let's take a look at our VRRP configuration or our operational state and see what we see there. So we'll get on router A, and router A, well, router A is still the master. Okay, so these are some things we need to look at. Its configured priority is 110, and the current priority is 101. So basically, when that track port goes down, the priority subtracts the track priority, and that becomes its current priority. So the configured priority of 110 minus 9 of the track priority sets the current priority to 101. So unfortunately for us, this is still higher than what's configured on the other router. So of course our track port is down. Let's just confirm that on router B. We'll do the show IPVRPE here, and it is still the backup. And its current priority is 100. So 100 being less than 101 means that router A is still the master, even though its outbound interface has failed. So what we need to do here is we need to rethink and reevaluate that track priority value, so that when that track port fails, its priority drops lower than the configured priority on the backup. So let's go ahead and do that. But before we do that, let's actually go into back into that switch, and let's re-enable this link just to restore connectivity to our fictional user over there on the PC, and make sure that they have connectivity out. So let's take a look at these pings for a minute. They should be restoring here real soon. The reason for delay is they're running spanning tree on those switches, so we're going to wait for the spanning tree processes to run through and allow connectivity. So here we are. We've got connectivity back. The routers are still operating as expected. So let's go into router A and let's change the priority for this interface. So we'll get into the VRRPE VRID1 configuration context, and from here we'll reset our backup priority. We're still going to keep it at 110, but we're going to change the track priority. We'll change that to 20. So that'll make sure that if this interface fails, our priority of 110 will be adjusted by subtracting 20, and it'll be 90, which will be lower than what's configured on router B at 100 right now. So we are all set here. We should be in good shape. So now let's go back over here, make sure our ping is working. Ping is still working just fine. We'll get into this device again and disable interface 11 and see what goes on with our ping. So we're still continuing, we get a timeout, and then we recover, and we still have connectivity. So what we'll want to do now is we'll want to verify which router is providing this connectivity to us. We can assume it's B because the interface on router A that connects out to the interface is now down. So let's look at router A first. So from here, router A is now the backup. Its current priority is 90, which that is the configured priority minus the track priority, so setting it below the other interface. And we see that it recognizes the master router as the 200.12, which is router B's actual IP interface configured on the interface we're using for VRRPE. So we'll jump over here again to router B and take a look at this information, and it is now the master. Its current priority is 100, which is greater than 90. So we look to be in good shape here, and everything is back in operation from a VRPE perspective, and our client still has continuous connectivity out to the internet, even though we've disabled a port that provided connectivity from that master router. The track priority configuration actually worked for us to make sure that the backup took over the job if the active master at the time was not able to do it anymore. So I'm going to re-enable this interface and get everything back to normal and get our network back to its normal